want to thank everyone for putting on the Veterans Day event, and I also want to thank all of our sponsors. And my comments tonight are going to be largely around the sponsors in our economy, which has generally thrived for over a century because of the many interconnections and relationships we've established year after year and decade after decade between businesses, between their customers and their employees, and businesses and other businesses. The challenges our businesses are facing, and I heard this tonight a little bit from the folks at Heine's, the highest inflation rate in decades, supply chain issues, labor shortages, all of these, etc. They are not happening because of COVID, as many would like you to believe. They are happening because of our reaction to it. Governors locked down small retail stores and restaurants while leaving big corporations open. Governors declared some workers essential while stating that others were not. Our governor paid state employees for doing nothing, while taxpayers who were out of work because they weren't essential continue to be gouged. Congress and governors paid people to not work via unemployment, more to not work via unemployment than they made in the jobs they previously held or they would make when returning to work. All of these actions had zero impact on the pandemic, but massively damaged our economy and destroyed the interconnections and relationships that make our economy strong. Labor shortages, supply shortages, inflation rates not seen in over 3 decades, gas prices doubling, and the list goes on. At the time these decisions were made, many people, including mayors and elected officials, pointed out that the decisions were bad and overreaching. Looking back, they were right. Now we have the actions taken by the president and the governor mandating vaccines. From this, we have witnessed massive travel disruptions, flight cancellations, supply chain disruptions. However, it is much, much worse than this. Healthcare workers, police officers, and firefighters, who were our first line of defense against COVID and put their own health and safety at risk, are being fired for not getting a vaccine. Unvaccinated employees with companies with federal contracts are being fired. 10 to 15% of the workforce for contractors in national defense and intelligence are being walked out the door. What could possibly go wrong? Keep in mind that even businesses that are 90% vaccinated are seeing 10% of their workforce fired. This is putting us all at risk. Emergency services, defense, police protection, fire protection, healthcare, etc., etc. This madness has to stop. We can live with COVID using common sense. Stop destroying our economy, our livelihoods, and our lives. However, here in Illinois, we don't stop. The governor and the legislature doubled down, specifically making COVID an exception to the Healthcare Conscience Act. Why would they do this? Because it gives businesses and government entities the unprecedented authority to enforce the governor's continuing mandates that are now over 20 times longer than allowed by law, and were just extended today for another 30 days. And this, for all of this, and this disease has little impact on children. And we're doing this to children. As of last week, approximately 2 million children in Illinois were in the hospital with COVID. In the last 10 months, there have been over 5 times that number of children killed from being shot in Cook County alone, mostly in Chicago. More than 5 times as many that have died from COVID since this began. And all of those had comorbidities, all of those children that died. Nationally, there have been 12 times as many child suicides than children who have died with COVID. Here are some of the latest Illinois COVID statistics. 5% of all hospitalizations currently are with COVID-like illnesses. 5%. Since mid-October, 24% of COVID-like hospitalizations were vaccinated, were people who were vaccinated, and 40% of COVID deaths were vaccinated. Given that 71% of everyone age 12 and over and 87% age 65 and over in Illinois are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, all this information tells us the vaccine does not stop the spread of this, but it appears to significantly reduce the severity of the disease in our most vulnerable population. So please talk to your physician and decide what to do, what is best for you. I'll also note that 72% of vaccinated COVID-like hospitalizations are over 65 years old, and 0% are under 17. 87% of vaccinated COVID-related deaths are over 65, and 0% are 17 or under. COVID remains a very challenging disease for our most vulnerable populations. So if you are feeling sick, please consult your physician immediately, as treatment regimens have improved greatly. I can't emphasize this enough for our senior population. If you feel sick, call your doctor. Get treatment early, because if you wait, you're going to get behind this and it's going to be problematic. Okay, we're still seeing that. COVID is not going away. And here in Orland Park, we've demonstrated that time and time again that we can live with COVID. We safely kept parks open when everyone else closed them. We safely held concerts when no one else in Illinois was doing them. We safely allowed youth sports teams to play tournaments here in Illinois instead of having to travel to Indiana to do so. We safely kept our police department strong and our citizens safe by educating our employees and allowing them to make decisions for themselves and not forcing anything upon them. We haven't mandated any of that on our police force. And if you recall, we also helped our seniors by providing transportation and sourcing vaccines from private businesses when the state refused to give us any. We got over 1,300 doses. Orland Park is a great community and an example of how we can still live our lives in spite of this pandemic. I hope others follow our example so that they can move forward in a positive way.